Just now, Rogers, Arkansas radically changed their building codes. Today we're covering what are some of the most important changes inside the code and how it's going to affect the city directly. So, let's talk about that. Hey everybody! If you don't know who I am, my name is Phillip Shepard. I'm a local real estate agent located right here in Northwest Arkansas. If you weren't aware, I actually was a real estate broker located in the dumpster fire, the horrible, the no good state of Illinois, the worst. Anyways, I could have moved anywhere I wanted to in America. I could have moved to Boulder, Golden, I could have moved to Flagstaff, I could have moved to Asheville, Chattanooga, Huntsville, whatever the case is, all the places you're probably looking to move to right now. But I chose Northwest Arkansas, and by far, it is the best place to live in America. By far. So if you ever want to talk about why I chose here versus anywhere else in America, call me, let's meet up for coffee, come into town, whatever the case is, and I can share why I chose Northwest Arkansas versus anywhere else, literally, in America. So without further ado, let's jump right into the content. All right, yes, Rogers, Arkansas radically changed their building code, and I personally see for the better. Let me explain kind of the backstory why this had to happen essentially. A lot of the building codes were established 20 years ago. And so what was happening is that a lot of these builders that were coming in, not only necessarily single family homes or this or that, a lot of builders were coming in saying, we would love to invest in Rogers, Arkansas, but with your archaic code, it really just bottlenecks a lot of the things. So there's a lot of special agreements being done. This is being moved. We want to build here. We want to build these townhouses in downtown Rogers. We want to add, Whole Foods over here, do this. So many shortcuts slash special provisions slash roundabouts were done with Rogers building code. So if you were thinking about moving into Rogers and you wanted to, build, not even beyond a single family home, let's say you wanted to build a, multiple single family homes, or you wanted to build some commercial spaces or townhouses, it would be a real problem to get it done. Not because the people didn't care or didn't want to, but they had to abide by some sort of code. So these 20-year-old code was really a hindrance to the whole city itself. Now the unique thing that pertains to Rogers is you have almost two things happening at the same time. Rogers has this old brick downtown section near Lake Atlanta as well as Beaver Lake. Then you have this kind of new boppin' modern style of Rogers on the far west side, mostly named as Pinnacle Hills. So you have these two conflicting things, not that anyone's better than the other, but two conflicting things. And so they had to ratify and get good building codes together to help developers on both sides really meet in the middle and try to get things done. So again, the code was very old, is a big hindrance to a lot of developers. And I talked to a lot of developers that are like, we want to do business in Rogers, but we just can't because of these different things, especially on the old side, the brick side. Some of those older style buildings were they either need to be taken down, in my opinion, or the structure was just faulty. And how do you do that with old code? And then, or it was the fact of like, okay, we want to modify these old buildings. What are the things that we do? So long story short, the code was incredibly old and it needed to be redone. And so it has been redone. So let's cover some of the big changes right now. So some of the biggest code changes really affected multifamily. There was some that was done in residential, but it was mostly pretty much the same. It had some different setbacks. It had some different standards of what is expected. But overarching, the theme was we need to address townhouses, multifamily, and residential. I'll be looking at my notes a little bit, just kind of summarizing what I went through. There's like 100-something pages document. I read most of it. Here's my summary on it, to say the least. But the thing that I noticed through these documents is that they really want orientation and connectivity. So kind of break down the laws a little bit, but when you're developing townhouses or condos or any sort of multi-unit family in Rogers, this was not in place before, but if you do that, you have to start developing connectivity to the other areas. Meaning, if you start putting multi-step family in, you're going to be required to start actually putting in like bigger sidewalks and bigger things of that nature to connect the different cities. Now, the reason they did this is because obviously a lot of influence comes from the Northwest Arkansas Council, and the council's big agenda is making sure that every city has connectivity between all the different cities. So kind of a general start is the Razorback Greenway, 40 miles of uninterrupted pathway from Mount Kessler and Fayetteville all the way up to Bella Vista. One big pathway, nonstop. All adjacent pathways run off of the Razorback Greenway. So keep that in mind. So when these townhouses are being developed and condos are being developed, they need to have connectivity with the eventual connection point to the Razorback Greenway. If you're developing in Pinnacle Hills, Razorback Greenway goes there. If you're developing on the far east side of Rogers, eventually pathways will reach from east side all the way to the west side in Rogers. So first thing, connectivity. The second thing is that if you are developing, this is the second kind of rule in law, this is all very summarized. The second, when it comes to developing these townhouses, condos, even sometimes single family, they require or oftentimes push towards shared spaces. Obviously for single family different, but when it comes to townhouses and condos, 100%. They are very big on as if they don't want separate townhouses anymore. If we're going to be developing more living spaces together, townhouses, condos, you have to share some spaces. It's just a good use of square footage. Does every single person need a massive courtyard? Probably not. Do they want one? Probably not. Can we have a dog park for everyone? That is correct. Can we have different spaces? Can we have restaurants in there? Sure, why not? Can we have one maybe major central kitchen? Of course, they all have their own little kitchenettes, but maybe we do central kitchens. Maybe we do like, game rooms and stuff. Rather than every single person have their own individual spaces, that isn't necessarily expected or even wanted anymore. They're kind of putting the design code for the future. So shared connectivity, excuse me, shared spaces are going to be a big deal. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa. I made something for you. I made something called 3-day itineraries. So maybe you're looking to come down here, maybe you're looking to visit here. I made 3-day itineraries to go city by city, day by day, restaurant by restaurant, all the cool things you want to do in Northwest Arkansas when you're here. So maybe you're an adventurer, maybe you're a sports person, maybe you're a foodie, maybe you're a sightseer, maybe you have kids, whatever it is. I have 3-day itineraries linked down below for you. So go ahead and download them and use them when you get down here. And maybe you are coming down to Northwest Arkansas and using things like Realtor.com, Zillow.com, or Redfin. Way too slow. Notifications, way too slow. That's why I made something called Instant Home Updates. Sounds like what it is, literally Instant Home Updates. So enter your name below, enter your information below, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. Where do you want to move to Northwest Arkansas? Enter all the information below. I'll make sure you don't miss a single notification when it comes for home for sale or for rent, all in Northwest Arkansas. Also, every single Friday, I send an email just to tell about all the cool things happening in Northwest Arkansas. What's going on in downtown Bentonville? What's going on in Fayetteville? What's going on in Rogers? What's going on in Amphitheater? What new business are moving here? What new things are going on in downtown Bentonville? What's going on in Bella Vista? All the things you want to know about Northwest Arkansas, enter your name below, enter your email below. I'll get that email to you every single Friday, but I need to give you a heads up, a little bit of a forewarning here. You will get a little fear of missing out, little FOMO, so to speak. But I promise you will be the most informed person eventually when you make your way down to Northwest Arkansas. And then the last kind of big change I found in these new design codes is going to be the orientation of how these buildings and future stuff is built. Now, I found it interesting because it's like, so let me explain this. They want the orientation, the direction of the building to be specific. Now, what I mean by that is that you can require builders and investors to build, bigger pathways. You can require them to build more shared spaces. But what you also want to put into the law is saying when you do these things, you want to orientate them towards those areas. You don't want them to have like what they're trying to avoid is saying like let's cram all these townhouses together. And then put a little dog park over there just to appease the city. Let's put a little townhouse over there, call it a condo, multi-unit family thing. They're trying to avoid that. They're trying to say if you're going to build townhouses and condos or multi-family unit, we want it to be community centric. Fayetteville's already been doing this for quite some time now. They have a couple things down in the South Yard and a couple other new developments, but Rogers is new to the pack in this. And Bentonville's been doing this too up into Lumen and Crystal Flats and a couple others. But Rogers really need to get on the ball with this one. So they have with this to require some builders to say, if you're doing these things, it's not just going to be condo, townhouse. It's going to be a communal living style because they don't want to make it feel like you're sectioned off, alone, and isolated. This is a community growing together, living in Rogers, working for some of the businesses here, and then doing best life in Northwest Arkansas. And the third thing is basically how this changed Rogers. Really what's going to happen is it's not going to affect pricing, in my opinion, too much. A lot of the Rogers houses, especially in that center location, need to be somewhat redone, reflipped, etc. So there's not a lot of new construction in that kind of 49 to Lake Atlanta section. There's not a lot of new construction at all, honestly. A lot of older homes there. What it is going to encourage is some of the vacant land that Rogers does own. Actually, Rogers did get some land from Bentonville. This not too long. No, this from Cave Springs. So they just got some land from Cave Springs on the far west side of 49. But regardless, Rogers does have some land to develop. And anyone who's looking to potentially buy up older homes, especially in the downtown section of Rogers, and then remove them potentially and add some, condos or townhouses. That's obviously the idea there. This is going to not benefit, but set clear expectations as well as guidelines for those future investors. This way that there's no wheeling and dealing behind the scenes, that is clear cut. Oftentimes things can move faster, or the investors and developers can be like, okay, this doesn't make sense for us. But regardless of all that, the nice thing with all these new laws is that Rogers is no longer really just kind of doing random deals on the side to overpass the old laws. They're putting things in place. They're city planning properly, getting laws, what they expect, what happens, all the different things. So when it comes to this new kind of law with Rogers and the new building laws, it's very crystal clear of what is expected, what Rogers will look like. Not that it's going to be filled with condos and townhouses, that's not the point. But the point is that if there are investors coming in, developers, we expect you to connect to all the trail systems. We expect you to start acting like you're part of Northwest Arkansas. You can't just throw up some random houses and condos and call it good. There's expectations. We have a certain culture here, very outdoor centric, very community centric, and we expect you to fit those expectations. So I'm excited to see Rogers come down with these new laws so that they can meet the new investors and say, if you're going to be putting money in the area, here's what you expect. Welcome to Northwest Arkansas. It's a great culture. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. Again, if you haven't been down to Northwest Arkansas quite yet, I made something called the NWA Starter Pack. Sounds like what it is, a starter pack full of all the cool things going on in Northwest Arkansas. Comes with a 120-page guide, city by city, population, how are the education systems, how's the medical, what's going on here, what's going on there. All the things you want to know about Northwest Arkansas comes right in this package, comes with all my itineraries, comes with stickers, it comes with all the unique fun things about Northwest Arkansas. So enter your name below, enter your address below. Where is this package going to? Let me know with all the information below. I'll make sure to get that package shipped to you right away. Also, side note, it does come with your first free mountain bike, so that's pretty cool. And I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. It is my favorite four-letter F word. Free! So enter your information below. I'll make sure to get that package shipped to you right away. Also, when you do come down here, I can give it a $10 tour so I can kind of show you around the whole area. Plus, we can check out some home for sale or for rent and see how far your dollar will go in Northwest Arkansas compared to where you're coming from. All right, guys, it's the next one.